It's Christmas time again, and the doctor is ready. Or some humbug. He's not having it. Unfortunately, that puts him square in the sights of River Song. But can she figure out who he really is? Will the doctor ever get a Christmas without antlers? This time he's ready, and he shows up with a new haircut and a suit. Get ready for our review today in the Vortex.
Broadcast amplitude at maximum capacity. Transmitting through time and space in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Vortex.
Voices from the Vortex Reviews, Series 9, Episode 13, The Husbands of River Song.
River! Hey, everybody.
What a way to usher in a new Christmas era with River.
Yes, with River Song. Hey, everyone, this is Taylor.
And this is Matt.
And this is our review for the Christmas special. The Husbands of River Song. Yeah.
First off, let's throw this out here. Technically, this is the Christmas special after Series 9, but we consider this episode 13 because, honestly, that's just where it falls, and it's not Season 10. This is Season 9. So this would be the first episode of Season 9 without Clara as the companion. This is our non-Clara companion episode.
No.
Yeah. A little sad, little bittersweet.
Little interesting, yeah. Just to not see her name in the credits,
But man, what an episode!
Yeah.
So good.
Speaking of those credits, I loved the opening credits. What they did with that was really, really cool.
Did they do that with last year's?
I don't remember. I think maybe some snow, but I don't remember the planets being, Christmas balls, like Christmas ornaments. Like, that was great. I loved
balls.
That. Baubles, or whatever you call them.
Baubles. The ornaments, yeah. No, that was really cool. I like those sort of alternate, intro credit stuff. I like it when they change the credits. I know I haven't said this hardly as much as I should have. I loved the second set of credits that Matt Smith had.
Oh, I did too. I loved those. Where it was in space,
season 7. That was so short.
Yeah, and it brought back his face coming into space, and it was I really liked those credits a lot.
Those were really cool credits, and I liked them because we had literally the same credits for 4 years, 4 seasons, and then for the specials, so 5 years and the specials, and then we got a new set of credits with Matt Smith. And when he started, they were okay. It was new, it was different. But his second set, and then Capaldi's credits together are like two of the best intros I've seen for the show ever. Yeah, and this tops it with that little variation, that just a little bit, and it makes it a little different. And I really enjoy that. Yeah,
that was really great. I really love this episode. I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome.
Well, it was. We've been saying this now for a while. The back end of this season was really, really good, and it feels like more of a return to Doctor Who and not a farewell to Clara. And this episode's perfect. This could have been right there in the middle of the season, and it would have shined as one of the greatest little gems.
Yeah, you could have taken out all the Christmas stuff, and it just would have been like its own episode. It would have been perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I really loved it. I thought it was fast paced, a lot of comedy. They were not kidding when they said it's like an old
it was so
Spencer
funny.
Tracy, Katharine Hepburn kind of comedy.
Yeah, I was laughing pretty much the whole time. It was really, really funny.
Right, it was hilarious from the very beginning with the TARDIS putting the antlers on the Doctor's head.
Yeah, and I loved his sign on the TARDIS. It said, "Carolers will be criticized." That's so good.
He's such a grumpy... He's a humbug. He's a grumpy little doctor.
I that's one thing that they tried to make really, important about him, was that he was grumpy in season 8, but it needed more than just grumpy. But I do love the grumpiness of this doctor, and that sign is just perfect.
I do too. He's such a great little doctor. He really is. Like, season 9 proves it. Oh yeah.
I mean, it was fun, when he was, Tennant and Matt Smith, and he's just happy about everything. But I like this one, who's annoyed and who's grumpy about stuff. It's so great.
This was great that we got to see the TARDIS in this one. I feel like season 9, we just did not see the inside of the TARDIS. Hardly at all. They hardly give us any TARDIS. And in season 8, a lot of in the TARDIS, because they wanted to showcase his new TARDIS with the books and the chalkboards. Season 9, not a lot of the warmer, TARDIS desktop. And we got to see a lot of the inside of the TARDIS in this one. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that explanation as to why the TARDIS wouldn't leave. When they're talking about if something's inside and outside. That's a cool idea.
Uh-huh.
I love stuff about the TARDIS, though.
Yeah, that was neat. Well, I liked that there was a hidden bar, too, that he didn't know about. She opens up the panel, and there's a little bar there that she just, she's like, don't tell him.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know everything about it. I like that she steals the TARDIS. She makes reference to the fact that she takes it when he's not looking.
She's taking it before he's like, well, what if he notices? It's like, well, he hasn't before, and his face was priceless.
Can we talk for a minute about how this really was River at her best? And I loved... at first, I wasn't sure what the heck was going on. Like, first off, what is she up to? Where is this in her timeline? Why is she acting this way? Which is all kind of borne out through the course of the episode. But I loved seeing River being the Doctor, basically. Running around, being manic. She is Matt Smith incarnate in this episode.
Yeah. I always loved the fact that she was on her own adventures. Whenever she would get wrapped up in one of the Doctor's adventures, but it had always started with something else she was doing. She was on her own adventure, talking to Dorium about, the landmines or whatever or the explosives I put in your drink, or, or when she is, investigating the Angels in Angels Take Manhattan. She's like on her own, doing her own thing. So it's pretty cool. I always enjoy the fact that she's on her own, and then he just bumps into her from time to time.
And they're just doing.
And this was another, and this was another little wacky adventure that she was on with this diamond in the guy's head. And no, it was good.
That robot was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Alex Kingston. This was probably one of her best River performances. I think it was really good.
Well, they gave her good material. First off, River's great when she's not constantly having to be Captain Exposition, which gets a little old and tiresome in the Matt Smith era. Her with in the name of the Doctor was like, do we really need her to like usher us from point A to point B to point C? Which is really what it was until they gave us that farewell at the end there, and I was just like, it broke my heart because she's such a great character that they were playing her as just being a holographic interface, really. And that gets annoying. This is her being River. And it's not even, it's not River, with the Doctor. It's just River being River. She has no idea who the Doctor is. So she gets to completely be herself. Which
I found a little hard to believe. Like... It took her... I was really surprised at how long it took for her to realize who he was. Yeah. It was almost near the end of the episode.
Okay, my only real complaint in this episode was that he was telling her, like, River, it's me, I'm the Doctor. Don't you recognize me? And she goes, yeah, you're the Doctor. We called for a doctor. And we're like,
yeah,
no, you're married to the guy. Why wouldn't you be like, are you the Doctor? Like, how can that's a little far-fetched even for this show.
Yeah. I guess what they were saying is that she believed that he only had those 12 faces, and that if this guy can't possibly be the Doctor because he doesn't have one of those faces. So
that's a very good point. She doesn't know what happened in the time of the Doctor.
Right. She just had put that, put any idea that this guy could be the Doctor out of her mind, because, like, why would he? He's not one of these 12 guys. I know what he looks like.
Right.
But I loved later when she's like, so what happened? How do you have a new face? And he's like, oh, a thing happened. And she's like, oh, I bet it did.
Their explanations are the best.
Yeah, I just love that he can look back fondly on being on Trenzalore and just say that, oh, a thing happened.
Yeah, it took him a little while to be able to do that, but hey, life moves on, and so does he.
Yeah.
Did anyone else love as much as I did the scene where he got to walk into the TARDIS?
That was great. That was really great.
What does he say? He quotes, trying to quote him right, he says, now it's my turn. Oh, it killed me.
Just how ridiculous he was.
Him trying to pretend to be the best of anyone who's ever walked in there. Like, he's going to be better than the rest.
Yes.
Oh, wow, but it's so much bigger, and I can't comprehend this.
Yeah. And then at the very end, he's like, and that's how it's done, or something like that.
That's what you really get into his brain. He gets to understand. That's what he expects from people.
Yeah.
He expects
not Rory
that level.
Not Rory going, I know, it's another dimension.
That must really have pissed him off. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Him and the TARDIS, man. I love those two together. I really do. I love how the Doctor and the TARDIS interact.
So we got a lot of fun little things in this. One was the sonic trowel of Rivers.
She's an archaeologist.
I have a sonic trowel. I thought that was great, and she was using it like Matt Smith did in the Rings of Akatan, where he was just like shooting out like the light, and like she shot it at those monks and they just fell over,
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty funny because it was like totally magic wand. Like I remember Rings of Akatan going, oh, like that's the most magic wand I've ever seen the sonic screwdriver be, just like wah wah shooting out light, and that's what she was doing. I thought that was pretty funny. And then we got to see the Doctor's new Sonic in action, which was pretty cool.
Really briefly.
Only a little bit, which was kind of a bummer. But I was pleased to see that he was still using the Sonic sunglasses.
Yeah.
And those may still just like stick around. He just may use them from time to time if it's like something that he needs to see, see in the dark or like some kind of thing. I think that's pretty cool.
So for Christmas, one of my friends got me the fourth Doctor's sonic screwdriver, Tom Baker's screwdriver. And this is because I'm slowly but surely building my Tom Baker costume for conventions. And I put it on my dresser. I have a whole bunch of Sonics. I've got Matt Smith Sonic, but so I got Matt Smith Sonic, which my son loves to play with. So it's kind of janky now. But I've got David Tennant's Sonic, but I have that was the expensive one. It's used more like for TVs, like it's a remote, so I got to get a regular one of those. I've got the Steampunk Sonic. That's a part of the collector's kit where you can buy the kit and like build your own Sonic, and then they have expansion, and one of the expansions was this like Steampunk Sonic. So I've got all these Sonic things that like I'm putting, and I've got River Song Sonic still in the box too, sitting there. So I've got all these Sonics there that I play with, and then I've got a pair of glasses from the time we went and saw the Doctor Who in 3D. I just put them there, so it's my collection of Sonics. I figured I could get away with that.
Yeah, that was great. What did you think of the bad guy in this one?
Okay, so there were really three bad guys in this one. Right. There were really two bad guys. There was the king, the emperor, who was a complete and total dick. But then there's right, Hydrofax. But then there was the robot.
Yes.
The robot kills me.
Yeah, it was just like on its own. Yeah.
And I love the idea. I love this. Moffat really plays with this idea of the component bad guy. That a bad guy is a whole bunch of things that's built into one. He did it just recently with Davros's pet, the snake thing. It's these two pieces, or it's these multiple snakes that all kind of merge together to make a villain. And he's done it. He's done it in the past with the headless monks come to mind. The idea that the heads are separate from the bodies, so that like Dorium's head and his body were different. The what's the name of that? What's the name of that robot thing in season 6 that takes the shot from the astronaut as opposed to the doctor?
Oh,
filled with tiny people.
The Tesselecta. The
Tesselecta. So Moffat loves writing this idea that villains are component, and I kind of like that. I really do. So it was a surprise suddenly that the robot body was kind of working on its own, and then it was taking. God, Moffat and lobbing off heads, taking other people's heads. Seriously, the headless monks were disturbing, to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Russell T Davies pulling Mickey's head off his body when he was an Auton is creepy, but the headless monks were super creepy.
Even creepier, though, were the other guys in this episode who, like, their head was, like, cut in half, and he, like, opened it up to get that little ball out. Oh, God, that was a little... I was like, oh, okay.
That was a bit much.
Yeah, it was really well done, like, effects-wise. Like, it was, like, pretty real looking. Like, pretty crazy. And that's super creative, too. Like, it's one of those things where I was like, oh, my God. It's, like, so cool, but so... Give me the hibbly-jibblies.
The hibbly-jibblies. Yeah, it was... when that happened, I was thankful I wasn't eating anything, because that would have been... that would have been too much for me. That would have been over the line. I would have been like, all right, Moffat, damn you.
Oysters.
Throw my fork down.
You weren't eating oysters at the time.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know about the bad guy. Like, a lot of Moffat's stuff, there's no actual villain. There's no bad guy. It's just sort of people that inhabit the universe, and some of them seem like monsters. Some of them seem like villains, but they're not, you know?
Yeah, well,
Beast
because
Below
it's like...
seems like villains, but they're not.
Yeah, well, and it's sometimes, too, it's like something... It's like technology that's just gone awry, or that's just, like, still fulfilling its purpose, but for some reason that's dangerous, and it's, like, killing people.
Yeah.
So, like, in this case, it's the robot suit. It's still working on its own. It's still killing people. You know, it's getting heads to get information. That's just how it works. It reminded me of the... I don't remember what it was called, but it was in The Caretaker in Series 8. It was that robot that was just there.
Blitzful Skullvac.
The Skullvac Blitzer. Yeah, the
Skullvac Blitzer. There it is.
Yeah, and it was just like it was just there, and the doctor had to kind of neutralize it. So it was the same thing with this suit. It was something. It just kept going, and it just like if you knew information, it would take your head so that it could have the information. Yeah, it was one of those monsters.
Yeah, and that's Moffat likes writing that. The more I watch Moffat's stuff, the more I begin to realize I don't think he really believes in villains and evil. Like, you know, he writes Missy as the master, but she's just trying to be a friend, and she's just a bit psychotic. He writes River, and River's not really a villain, but she's a bit psychotic. All these times that we have villains, it's always misunderstood. It's, you know, it's something else is going on, and the gas mask zombies from Series 1 and Eccleston. And it was just technology gone awry.
Yeah.
And I like that, don't get me wrong, but it means that anytime they try to frighten me, anytime they try to put a monster in front of me and say, oh, this episode and this monster is going to be truly frightening, And I'm like, who wrote it? Was it Moffat? Nah, I'm cool. I'm good. It's fine. It's not right. Wait, Gatiss wrote it? Well, all right, maybe a little. I don't know, but Toby Whitehouse wrote it, so it's an army. Like, you kind of get to know them and how they write stuff. And you're just like, all right, that's cool. Yeah. This episode was very that. It was, the Emperor's an emperor. He's just a dick, and the robot was scary, but it wasn't. And the scariest thing were when they went to that ship to have dinner, and she was going to try to sell the head, and then like all of a sudden everybody like in the room is a member of this church of the king of whatever his name is, and
Hydroflex.
Like, Hydroflex. Yeah. And they're just like, you're like, oh my god, there's no safe haven here. There's no quarter. This is literally a room of bad guys. Okay, that was kind of creepy.
I will say though, I'm pretty sure Moffat has. I think Moriarty is a bad guy. I don't think there's. So far, there's no room for, like, but he's just misunderstood.
Right, Jim Moriarty, but Ted Moriarty is like he's a decent guy. He's an insurance salesman, so he's kind of a dick.
He's had a rough time with the economy and all.
Yeah.
He's just.
Full disclosure, I have not seen the Sherlock Christmas special yet.
Oh, it's good.
And I was railing against it. Like, I don't want to watch a period piece Sherlock, but I've heard that it connects with the current show and that it is in continuity. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll trust Moffat. Moffat knows what he's doing. So does Gatiss.
Yeah, watch it.
But like, I haven't seen it yet. So if there's anything in it, like they said, it has to do with stuff with Moriarty. I was like, okay, don't say it anymore. So I don't know. I don't know. So don't unless it's Ted Moriarty. Unless it's an episode with Ted Moriarty. In that case, I'm okay.
Yeah. Watch it. It's good. I watched it last night. It was great.
Yeah, I plan on it, definitely.
Okay. So, one great thing about this episode, and I was so glad we finally got to see this. We got to see them. This is River Song's last adventure before the library. We got to see them go to the Singing Towers of Beryllium, and he gives her the screwdriver, and it was really cool. I was happy we got to see that.
But you're a continuity nerd. Like, you more than me, and I love it, but more than me, you like when people make references, you want to see it. You want that reference to happen so you can put it, and that's cool and all, but I was like, they didn't have to do her final adventure with the Singing Tower. No,
I agree. Yeah. They didn't have to show it.
They already hinted at it. We already had that when they did one of the mini-sodes for season 6.
That was definitely... And they mentioned that in this episode. She goes, remember when he goes, you kept putting it off. Remember that time there was 2 of you, we were going to go, and this and that. And I thought, that was kind of a retcon, like... he changed his mind, but okay. But this was so well done. I was happy with it.
No, it was very good, and I really enjoyed. I am a continuity nerd, so I like it when things connect like that, and when little pieces of something are not there, and you go back and 6 seasons later they're like, by the way, and they put a drop in line. And you're like, oh, that reference like episode 2 when Troy and Abed were talking about. And you're just like, yay! I'm so glad that we got that.
Yeah.
I will say this is probably the kindest Capaldi has been as the Doctor, and this answers that question that he asks Clara in his 2nd episode. Am I a good man? And I say, yeah. This is him saying, I can be a better version of myself. I've made mistakes. He says it in that 1st episode. 2,000 years, I've made plenty of mistakes. I think it's about time I did something about that, And this is a part of that. This is him trying to be a better man. And it all stems to, how does River see the Doctor? Because we've never really gotten that question or that answer. But here we do.
Yeah, well, I loved the whole sort of theme about this episode was... I love the Doctor, but he doesn't love me back. All this stuff about he's magnificent, he's wonderful, and he's lived so much longer than me. How could I possibly expect him to love me back? And then he goes and does this gesture for her. And one thing I like about River's story is that we know how it ends with David Tennant in the library, and so it's really cool to think, okay, Capaldi, he gives her this screwdriver with the plan that it'll upload her into the thing because he's been in the library, he knows, and that was like Capaldi's idea, which was cool to do that. And I loved when she does that whole speech, about he's the sun, he's the stars themselves. Do you ask a sunset to love you back and all this stuff? And he says, "Hello, sweetie." That was like the best "Hello, sweetie" I've ever heard.
That was.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll tell you what. This echoes from Deep Breath when they say, have you ever tried to, or what's it like when you flirt with a mountain? Talking about the doctor being older than anything. The mountain doesn't flirt back, and this is a good example of how doesn't matter how old he is or how other people see him, he's still a man. He's still a human. He's still a Time Lord or half human, and he's still a creature and relies on those sort of, not creature habits, but he relies on the ability to fall in love and to meet new people and to experience the world. To all those people I have lots of friends who were mad at River because they thought he should love Rose. Okay, that's fair. Eccleston and Tennant certainly loved Rose. But he moves on, and River was his next love. And, it's good to see them sort of give that explanation that, at the end of all things, he can still fall in love again. And that's really the testament of how do you stay young, how do you keep living, is whether or not you can continue to be in love. And I like that about this episode. It really proves that in the Doctor.
Yeah, that was really great. I mean, this last scene was so heartwarming and touching and just perfect for the Christmas episode, and just so great. And I loved the twist at the end where she asks him, well, how long is a night on Darillium? And he says 24 years. So that's just another little detail that we still didn't know about this part of her timeline, is that, yeah, she spends a night with the Doctor on Darillium, but it's really 24 years, so they have sort of this 24-year time together, which is great. I love that.
Well, and yeah, there's that. And then we just did it with Clara. Clara's a heartbeat away from death, but now she's traveling through space and time with Mayor Me, and having all these adventures. How does he spend his night with River? The long way around. So it may be 24 years on Darillium, but who knows how many adventures they go on now that he's Capaldi and River. They might go off and have 100 years together. She's 200 years old, she says. So maybe they go off and have another 100 years together, or 200 or 500. Who knows? That's the beauty of it, is that when she asks him, how long's a night on Darillium, and he says 24 years. They're not laughing because they have 24 years that they get to spend together. They're laughing because Darillium cheats. They experience a night as 8 hours as any planet would. Darillium is the cheat. Yes, this is the final time that they're going to be together before she goes off to die. But at the same time, it's like the universe is saying, but it's okay. You can fudge it. You can pretend. You can go off and do whatever you want because it's 24 years of Darillium, so who cares how long it is if you're in the TARDIS?
Yeah.
That's why this episode was so beautiful. Yeah.
It was really nice.
And the diary. Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Continuity nerds. I need to know Jim the Fish.
I would love to see Jim the Fish.
We'll never see it. That's fine. I get that. That's the one you don't really want to see. But
audio adventure?
Yeah. Well, she's got an audio adventure from Big Finish coming up.
That's right. Maybe it's Jim the Fish.
The Diaries of River Song. So maybe we'll get Jim the Fish.
That'd be great. One final thing I loved about this episode, and it was very quick, and I don't know if you caught it. When they're in the place where Hydroflex was, the spaceship, and she's got this bag that she's gonna put his head in, and she's emptying stuff out of the bag. She pulls out a fez, she kind of gives it a look like ugh, and throws it out. I didn't catch it the first time. I caught it on the second watch. It was so good. It was so funny. It's a little nod there.
That's
yeah.
cute.
Let's see, how did this get in here? Toss.
There's some really great quotes from this episode that I really liked.
Yeah, there were... Almost every quote was hilarious, and I almost wrote them all down. I wrote down a bunch, but, I mean, there's...
I'll tell you my top favorite quote that was in there. Okay. I loved when she's talking about the diary, and now I'm paraphrasing, this might not be exactly how the quote goes, but she says, he's the kind of man who would know how many adventures fill up the pages of a diary. She's talking about how much longer she has to live, and that the doctor knew how much longer she had to live. He figured it out,
right?
Because that's the kind of man he is. That's just one of my favorite quotes. I think in all of the season, maybe in all of Capaldi's run, that's certainly up there with one of my top 10 favorite quotes of Doctor Who. So,
I, at first I was a little annoyed at the fact that I liked the idea of originally what it was that she didn't know that this date he took her on was the last night, and she even says, you cried. Looking back, it should have you gave me your screwdriver. That should have been a clue.
Yeah.
I didn't like that in this episode they decided to be like, well, she kind of knows it might be the end. She's like, I've heard stories, and I was a little annoyed at that at first, but then the way they did it, when with 24 years was the night and all that stuff, and it was a lovely scene. So I kind of looked past it, but at first I liked the idea. Because then that line right there, he knows how much she's it added another element to it. So it's like it's sort of that she knows that maybe her time is coming.
Here's another thing. Diary. Here's another thing too. Something I've noticed from Moffat's run on Doctor Who. A lot of times, stuff happens that seems to rewrite the way what we've seen happens. So if you go back and rewatch it, you're like, but wait, no, later on, stuff happened that completely undid this. It doesn't. It doesn't undo it, but time changes. And at that moment, when River first meets Tennant, and she says, I should have guessed. I can't believe I didn't understand. You gave me your screwdriver, I should have known. And the last time I saw you, you showed up in a new haircut, a suit, and cried, and she didn't know. But so much has happened since then. Time, even though she's moving backwards and that's her final moment, time's still changing. So things happen like this with Capaldi, and that changes her perception. So when she said it, because remember, we're not following her story, we're following the Doctor's. So if the Doctor does something that changes her perception of how things happen in the Doctor's timeline, but not in her timeline, it doesn't matter. Time heals itself, it fixes itself, so everything kind of makes sense. So I try to remind myself of that, because otherwise the show would drive you nuts. There's so much time travel, so much crisscrossing. Yeah. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah. Well, and 50 years, it's hard to keep any sort of continuity going without a few slip-ups here and there.
Right. You and I are watching Pertwee stuff now, and he makes such a big to-do of the fact that he's not really a scientist. He's just super smart. But we know he's got doctorates in things. We know he's a doctor. So, I can't believe that Hartnell and Troughton were just men who love science, but then, by the time we get to Baker and Davidson and let alone New Who, he's like the ultimate of all knowledge when it comes to science. Like he's ultimately the ultimate scientist. Like it's hard for me to wrap my head around unless I just say, it sort of heals itself. He was always this good.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. I mean, the man travels through space and time in a box that's bigger on the inside. If this is the thing that gets me.
All right, so I'm going to run through these quotes really fast because I loved them and they're all of my favorite.
Okay, go for it.
She says, if you use my name again, I will remove your organs in alphabetical order. Any questions? And the doctor says, which alphabet? And then he's about to throw Hydroflax's head down the garbage disposal, and he says, get ready to say "we." That was good. That's my favorite. And then they're sitting at the table. It's quiet. She's looking at the menu. And she says, why are you frowning? And he says, how did you know? And she says, it's audible. And that's so 12 right there, like an audible frown.
It's very Capaldi.
I loved River's line of, quiet, mommy and daddy are working. I loved, like, once she knew that it was him, it's like, yes, they are mommy and daddy. They are, like, that's who they are. It was perfect. And then my favorite line of the whole thing is after her whole speech about, like, do you expect the sunset to love you back and this and that? And then she finds out it's him. She says, oh, we are so doing those roots. And he says, what, the roots of the sunset? It was so... I loved him giving her a hard time about the speech. Like, that was so funny.
It's very Capaldi, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so that was good. I was laughing so much at this episode. There were so many great lines.
So many quotes.
And so many funny moments in this episode. So, yeah. Final thoughts.
Well, River! Oh, man, River! Oh, good. I'm so glad I got to see her one last time. I mean, how great was it seeing her again? Seriously. And for all of us continuity nerds, to see her final trip with the Doctor prior to her death in silence in the library, even though we didn't need it, we always wanted it. This is a great episode. It was fun. It was exciting. It raised questions and then answered them right away. We didn't have to wait 18,000 years and like another season of Sherlock in order to get answers. With Clara gone, this is exactly the kind of episode we needed. It's a shame that this was River Song's last hurrah, because her and Capaldi were brilliant together. I've been a fan of the 11 River shipping since it began, and now I really get to see her act with someone who enhances everything that they do together. I want more of this. Just so much more. This was the best Christmas special for me since A Christmas Carol, and possibly one of the best episodes of New Who. Absolutely.
Yeah, I also loved this episode. On top of just being generally hilarious and fun, it was so heartwarming and so touching. And I loved finally seeing that scene, the Singing Towers and their final night together. Capaldi and Kingston, brilliant together, and easily one of my favorite River episodes. She's not my favorite character, and there's some episodes of her that are really great. This one is like on the top of the list. I don't know how it would happen, but I would love to see more adventures with them, 12 and River. Possibly, maybe audio adventures like The Doctor and River Song, Derelium Nights, or something. Like just adventures that in that 24 years that they have on Derelium or something. That'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
So, no, this was such a fantastic and perfect Christmas episode. Oh, I loved it.
Calculating. Voices from the Vortex gives The Husbands of River Song 10 out of 10.
Guys, hey, thanks for joining us. This was the last episode of Season 9. I know we said thank you during Hellbent, but thank you again for sticking it out with us. We are going to do a wrap-up of probably all of Capaldi coming up pretty soon, but until then, we want to thank you for joining us for Season 9 and the Christmas episode, The Husbands of River Song, going into 2016 strong here with some really great positive feelings about where the series could go. So thanks for showing up, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, guys, thanks a lot, and we hope you enjoyed it. Keep an ear out for many surprises to come. And we got lots of stuff coming in 2016. So thanks for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So long, Beryllium Nights.
Dirty Dancing, Beryllium Nights. This has been another Voices from the Vortex review, Series 9, starring Matthew Whitecamp as Matt, the Time Lord, Taylor Davidson as Taylor, the Time Lord, and Danielle Davidson as the sexy voice of the TARDIS. All views expressed are the opinions of the two dudes from Gallifrey, and as such, should be taken extremely seriously. Follow Voices from the Vortex on all social media, including Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. If you have any questions regarding the podcast, please email us at voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com. Doctor Who and all related materials is copyright BBC. No infringement of copyright is intended. All originally written material is fan fiction of a satirical nature. Please, Mr. Moffat, don't sue. See you next time in the Vortex!
Temporal flight engaged. Returning to the vortex. End of transmission.